I'm glad to have Franz again to ask him about the new way you are going in your work. And first question is, Franz, how do you call it?
Okay, first of all, thank you for coming, Max, and for your continuous interest in my work. And as you mentioned, this work is still developing, and it's now, meanwhile, over 1 year that I started something new. And beforehand, it was called the Constellation of the Intention. And now I have also found some new words, and I like to call it self-encounter instead of constellation. Mm-hmm. The one thing, and the other thing is no longer saying intention alone, but saying a sentence of the intention. That means that we take the whole sentence we have as an intention more seriously. We're looking more in detail to this sentence. And when starting this process and starting to work with the sentence, it was not only a shift in the way of doing the work, but it was a complete shift in understanding what we are doing. What is the background of what we are working with? Yeah, so it became more clear that we're working with the human psyche as a part of the whole human organism. The body and psyche is a whole unit, and we learned more how this psyche is built up and how the psyche develops. Because if you ask people to formulate their intention, they normally say, I want to be more myself, I want to have a look at my fears. And when they say this, then you have all these different words, and all the different words, they mean, in a way, all different psychological functions. Because I is a specific function of the human psyche, want is a specific function. Mm-hmm. Then something about feeling, I want to enjoy my life, it's about feelings. Or I want to know, it's about the cognitive things. So it became clearer that we work with the human psyche with the different functions of the human psyche. That what we now can do when we explore the sentence word by word. And this is what there was the shift in the work. Beforehand, it was that when somebody had an intention, I asked this person, now choose a person representing the whole intention. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So it was one person for the whole intention. But then it showed that in a way, it's too complex, or it's too much. It's not possible for one person to represent the whole intention. So what happened in this time, that somebody picked up, as a representative of the intention, picked up something out of the intention, because it was not, or we could observe that the person, the representative intention shifted immediately, shifted from one part, inner part, to another part. Mm-hmm. So, and this became more and more clear for me. And then we shifted to this new style of working, and asked then the person to formulate the intention, the whole intention, then pick out the word, the single words of the sentence. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes clear that every word has a specific meaning. Yeah?
So that's what you learned in the last 2 years, like this, yeah. Because we had a time when we said, okay, we take the whole intention, the sentence of intention, and we have one representative, yeah. And you learned, oh, habla, there is maybe two different or more different.
The idea of finding somebody for representing the intention was, before, it was that the intention is in the focus. It was the shift from working before with drama constellation. Mm-hmm. It was first we did drama constellation, and the drama was in the focus. Then the shift towards the intention, working with the constellation of the intention, was to make the focus, to build the focus on the intention, that you don't, for example, deal with a trauma that the person is not prepared to work with. So this was the risk before. People sitting down and telling their life stories, and you as a therapist, you listen to it and say, oh, there's one trauma, then another trauma, and then you decided, in a way, as a therapist, in a way, decided, okay, what trauma should be addressed. And this, to protect the client from that, we went towards this step to say, okay, the intention of the client must be the focus. Yeah? And only the client decides what a trauma has to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's not the therapist who decides, oh, you have to deal with your birth trauma or have to deal with sexual trauma. No, so it's just the client. This was an important step towards giving the responsibility to the client.
Yeah.
Yeah. He decides or she decides what is her intention. And now we take a step further to even more giving the responsibility for the whole process towards the client, that she should formulate her intention and take the full responsibility for the whole sentence. Yeah? Yeah. And so it's also, again, a limitation, the limitation towards the sentence. It's nothing else than the sentence. We work with the sentence. And if somebody decides to have this sentence, it is his sentence and nothing else.
Yes.
So this is going further the street towards autonomy, towards self-responsibility, a way protecting in a way the client from the therapist. That the therapist decides and knows better what the client should do.
So we have to say this is special your way, because the normal way outside is another way.
Don't know, but could be. Yeah.
And that's what you see on this way, that you really can help the people to a very, very more responsibility for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time you can say, for you as a therapist, it's also helpful because you protect yourself. Protect yourself from taking responsibility for somebody else's life, that you can't take. Yeah. Yeah. You go in maybe there is a perpetrator-victim dynamic in the client, and you take on the position of the helper, who wants to rescue the client. This is not good for us as therapists too. So. So it's also something in a way you can say, also I do it for myself, developing this type of work, developing this type of methods. In the same way I feel it helpful for myself as a therapist. Yeah? That now it's clear, it's just a sentence and nothing else. And I don't have to think about this trauma or that trauma, what could be, and ideas about what could be the connection of the intention. But no, it will show up, and it's so good that now with every word shows a certain bit of the situation of the client. Okay,
and at this point you have to say, okay, how do you work now with the sentence and with the words?
Yeah,
very simple.
The technical thing. The technical thing is that if somebody wants to work, do his own process, then you ask him to please formulate a sentence. And after a while, maybe you think about your sentence, you find it, and it's so interesting that, in a way, you come to the point where you really find a sentence. That is surprising, that you find this sentence and no other sentence. You find this sentence, and then I asked the person to write it down on a whiteboard, for example, to write it down and make it visible. And also in this process of writing it down, you see something happens. A lot happens with the client already here. And after writing it down, you have it here, you have it clear. The client has it clear, you have it clear, the audience has it clear. And now we know this is like a contract. Like we build up a contract. Now this is how we work. And then the client can choose the first word that is written on the wall, and find.
You can use one of the words.
One of the words, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also a process when I thought, okay, then we take all the words and
one after the
others,
yeah.
or more than one. And but it turned out that it is not a good way of working. It's too quick. It's too maybe overwhelming, and so it's better to do it step by step, and to find the first word and asking a person in a group that is some new word I am now using, going to resonance. Yeah, I ask people, please, could you please go into resonance with the I in my sentence? So it makes it more clear.
I think that's very important to make a Absatz in German.
Paragraph.
A paragraph, yeah, that we say, okay, now what do we do? Yeah, you say, okay, please, can you go for me for this word, or with this word in resonance?
Go into resonance with this word.
With this word, yeah.
In my sentence, and then it's clear for the other person what to do.
Yeah.
And then you stay with this word. You as a client, you stay in the resonance with this person, and then after a while maybe something clear up or showed up, and then maybe it's enough, and then to go and choose the next word, and so on. Maybe you choose every word of your sentence, or sometimes it's enough to have 2, 3, or 4 words. What's now my experience that in many cases it's enough then to have 3, maybe 4 words, and to come to the point where you say, okay, now I got it what I want, and I got it more clearly, or I got the contradictions I saw the contradictions in my sentence, I saw the trauma, I saw my surviving strategies, so that it could be finished after a while.
Okay, now of course the question is, because this is a way to go that a lot of people don't know. So, and next question of course is, okay, and what happens for the client? Yeah, what is the result, or what is going on then? Yeah? So, what is the point where he wants to go to, or where he comes, where he arrives? Yeah.
Yeah, it's when I started this type of work, I was myself surprised. I didn't expect that it's possible that if I asked another person, please go into resonance with want, or go into resonance with feel, or go into resonance with end or to, or whatever, so that it should be possible. That I was very surprised that it works quite well and very precisely. And that means that we have, in the words, we have the access towards our consciousness and towards our unconsciousness, towards our feelings, our thoughts, and even our body. Now this is like, the word is the media. The word is the media, how we get access to ourselves. And this was something very surprising, but meanwhile I think it's more common also in science that we can say it's the words, is the expression of the words, is sometimes how to write the words, gives you some access towards yourself, and what's for us as therapists is so important, towards our unconsciousness, or towards that what is in the trauma process split off, and was neglected and was suppressed. So it works. So it's in a way, it's for me. Meanwhile, it's one of the best ways of getting access to your inner world and getting access to something that is not yet available for you. So that you need to make these therapeutic processes in order to get access towards yourself.
I think it would be good, if possible, that you say 1 or 2 examples. So it's always difficult because examples always make a stamp also.
Yeah, maybe I take an example for the work we did today, one constellation, one self-encounter. Sometimes I mix it up, still words, but I prefer to say self-encounter. And one self-encounter, the sentence was, I want to be myself. And so normally you ask yourself the question, how, what is it? Why do you want to be myself? You are yourself. But under the condition of trauma, it means that there something must have happened, that you lost the contact with yourself, or you lost important parts of yourself. Mm-hmm. And in this case, it turned out that it was when the client was about 15, 16 years old, there was a rape, and this rape produced a split, and produced, and the consequence was that one part of the self was giving up and could not continue the development, but was put aside. And now, after many years later, now this person says, I want to be myself, and comes into contact when putting myself, the word myself, comes into contact again with this 15-year-old girl that was giving up. So this, the whole sentence then showed up, I want to be myself, meant I come into contact with a part of myself that I split off because of a trauma.
That remembers me to ask you, can you give us a picture about what is the old constellation, the normal constellation work, yeah, and your work
compared to now?
Yeah, to compare it a little bit.
Yeah, the term constellation I used because I was in the tradition of Bert Hellinger's work and family constellation, and I made use of this term, and I, even if I didn't agree with the theory in the background of family constellations, orders of love or whatever.
Orders of love,
yeah, so
very important, yeah.
So I kept on going with the term constellation because I thought, okay, there is the theory and there is the method. But of course, it turns out that if you use a specific term like constellation, it's always normally combined, in the public also combined with family constellation, and something that is about a family, is about a system, is about persons around you, about relationships. And maybe we can say that constellations is something where you put other persons around you, you have a relation with, and you have a look at it. Yeah, can be also useful in a way. If you say I want to have a look at the picture, make a picture of myself about the different persons around me, about my family or my relationship, and maybe that is helpful just to look at your relation.
Or I remember you told me you met a kindergärtner.
Yeah, I worked with some nurses, and they just looking at the child, the parents, and themselves. Maybe for a person making a small constellation about this, that can give you so much information. Yeah. And so maybe we can say this is constellation, and now what I'm developing is more focused on identity. It's more focused on the person herself. And so we can say this more as a self-encounter, that you encounter yourself through the words of your intention. Yeah. And of course you can include in your sentence also persons. I want to have a look at the relationship with my mother, father, or my partner. Then you can see it, how this person is represented inside yourself. But the focus for me is not the family, it's not the system, but it's you. And that's, I think this is important to mention. That constellation work for me is more about systemic work, is about families or organizational systems. And self-encounter is really, it's you focus on yourself and what these relationships have done with you, and especially, of course, what trauma has done with your psychological structure. Yeah, okay. And so the focus of the whole theory shifted from what I called before and multi-generational psychotraumatology. The reason was because I know on the one hand I learned a lot from psychotraumatology, this science, and I wanted to combine it with the systemic work, the multi-generational. So I want to bring it together, but it was still, in a way, outside, systemic.
Yeah.
What happened to the parents, what happened to grandparents, what is important, what is interesting. But in a way, it could also be a distraction from yourself to focus on the outside. And that's what we learn now, how much it is a distraction from yourself when you focus on the others, especially when others are perpetrators. Then you focus on the perpetrator instead of focusing what has it done to you that there was a perpetrator in your childhood.
Yeah.
And so the whole theory shifts now for me, and I give it also now a new name, and call it identity-oriented psychotrauma therapy, or psychotrauma theory, to make that clear, to shift from outside more to the inside, inner processes.
Okay.
And so it comes more, it's not so much that I want to find my place within a system of relationships, but I want to get contact with myself and keep in contact with myself even if I'm in a relationship. Yeah? Because that was normally happening, is, or what very often is happening, that the moment we are in a relationship, we give up ourselves. Because we have learned it. We have learned it in childhood. We had to learn it in childhood because we had to give up the contact with ourselves in order to stay in a relationship with traumatized parents.
Yeah, we had this nice sentence in German, ich in meinem Körper in Beziehungen, or in English.
So that's, now I started from let's say, so it's what, half a year or 9 months, I started to really develop new puzzles of the theory. And one is, what is I? What is identity? What is want? What is the free will? The same is, what is about the body? How about the body? How does the body fit to I and to want? So the whole theory is now in a process of development. And so I want, for example, I want to define identity. What is the identity? And also today, in one of the works, we learned that identity starts with being, just being. There must be a process, and there must be the possibility of unconditional being. Yeah? That you have not to fulfill any expectations or be there for somebody in order to develop really healthy. In the moment then your development is put under pressure, that you should be for something, be there for somebody, be there for your mother, then the splitting starts. Then your identity cannot develop in a healthy manner, and it starts to, you have to start to split and to give up your core, maybe your core self, or what your core energy, your core life energy, in order to fit to another person, especially in most of the cases, to fit towards your mother.
Yeah.
So it's
okay.
So it's something I'd like to bring together, to say how identity fit together, the I, the want, the body, and all my capacities I have.
So now a very easy question. How long does it go? How long have I to work to self-encounter myself?
How long it's up to you. It's up to everyone. And for myself, now also with this new method, I'm encouraged to continue again exploring myself, continue to look at different symptoms, because I think it's so interesting to learn more about yourself, to learn more about your body, to learn more how you are. Yeah? So it's not so much how I have to. Yeah? So what you normally think, I have to do therapy in order to be healthy, and then I can go on living. But it's if you're interested in yourself, you do it. Yeah, it's about a free decision. It's not about putting yourself under the pressure because now you have developed cancer or something. Now I have to do something. But it gives you more space. It gives you more freedom to say, okay, who I am. I want to really be the person I am, and what are the obstacles in between me and the rest of the world. So it gives more pleasure in doing also the work, because you do it for yourself in the end.
Now I got him. Huh? Now he told something really good about what you can get here. Yeah. So die Freude in German, we say.
It's a joy.
Yeah.
It's a joy.
I ask you in the German interview. I ask you, Franz, what is your goal? Yeah, with this work. You just told me, but maybe I try it again. Yeah. What is your goal? What is your Ziel? Huh?
Yeah, I think, in the basic is me. It's also to know more about myself, because of course I choose this way of being a therapist out of my childhood experiences, and it was unconsciously, and now I know it more consciously, and now really I know what's good for me is also good for the people I'm working with. So on this, of course, I use my methods for myself, and I know how helpful it can be, and this gives me trust that I can offer it to anybody. And whoever who wants to join this movement and wants to make advantage of this, what I developed, is invited to do this. And I'm very happy with this, because how normally you look at trauma, and it's so burdening, and it's so serious, and so it's of course it is, yeah. But it's at the same time we have to find something to free ourselves, and to make ourselves free from all this pressure and all this attempts to do it right and perfect. And it's more, for me, it's more really, the whole work is more playful now, and more joyful too. As in one aspect.
Yeah. So last question is, let's look in the future. What will come?
What will come? The next Congress?
Yes.
The Congress will come in October, the 21st to 23rd of October. And
we have the title is?
Love.
We changed it a little. It changed a little bit.
It's Love, Trauma and I.
Love, Trauma and I.
A new way of self-encounter.
Yeah.
By the sentence of the intention. So we have key lectures. I will do some key lectures about theory and the method, and then we have 40 colleagues that will offer very interesting workshops there around this identity thing. Yeah, and the next project is about the correlation between physical illnesses and trauma. So I think it's something that has to be explored in more detail, and we are planning now a new book about this. It will be published in 2017, in autumn 2017, also together with colleagues that are now studying different physical illnesses and doing case studies, and we will bring it together. And this is also an opportunity to print the latest version of my theory and my method.
Okay. So, but the future will be full of surprises.
So I think it will be. You never know. I even didn't know when to start the year what is in the end. So this is also something where I like very much in this work, because it is not boring. It is always exciting.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I say here, thank you, Franz.
Thank you, Max, for asking your questions and coming and supporting us in this work.
Gut, mal so weit. Ihr dürft gerne klatschen, wenn ihr wollt. Heute zum ersten Mal mit Gästen. Ja.